Should I start again? Start karna? Yeah.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Acer League 2019 Sri Lankan qualifiers. We are just about to get into the second semi-final game. It is going to be Zyphos Esports Victoria's Secret taking on Death Sentence from Division Esports, and these are two teams who have gone up against each other recently multiple times, and it has been an even breakthrough. I think DS won a couple of games, Victoria's Secret won a couple of games, so it's a bit of an even breakthrough. And joining me on the casting table is going to be Jakro. Hi man.
Hi Terry, how's it going? So far we saw exciting game, game 1, I mean the first semi-finals against PNX Indomitors and NA Bedtime Samurais, and hoping to see I think an even better game in the second semis.
Yeah, I think this game, the two teams are more or less evenly matched. I think Victoria's Secret has been practicing more, has better team synergy compared to Death Sentence, but you have returning players on the side of Death Sentence like Heshan or Satan, as most of them know him. And he has been out of the scene for quite some time, but as I have seen and as I have heard, he's apparently back in form and stronger than ever before, and I think that's definitely going to be a problem for Victoria's Secret, because he is known to be one of the best carries and mid players, basically a co-player all around in the country. And we spoke about how y'all spoke about how Paradox is considered the best mid in the country. I think the only one who comes close to or evens up with Paradox when it comes to skill wise in the laning stage is Heshan, and I've had the pleasure of laning against both of them, and even though you lose the matchup, you learn so much, and you feel that these guys are on a whole another tier. I mean, they're basically really good. And then you have players like Mukshit, who's probably one of, I think, the oldest player in the hall right now, has been playing since the inception of Warcraft at that time, moving to Dota 1 and then Dota 2 later on, and he has been as strong as he was before and improving. He's not a player who has lost his skill over the years and has just been building up on the skill that he already has. And up and coming players like GG, who is the new addition to Death Sentence. We saw him during the last tournament. Up and coming player, seems very strong. He was on the position 4 at that time, but apparently he has switched to position 3 here. So it's interesting to see, but I think overall Victoria's Secret definitely has the better team synergy, and skill wise I think Death Sentence edges them out a bit, but I think they'll compensate to it with better team play. And right now Dota is as such that individual skill is not as good as it used to be in the previous metas. Like right now you need good teamwork, good rotations, good communication to close out games, and I think that's what Victoria's Secret has over Death Sentence.
Yeah, definitely. And then just coming back to the point that you made about Heshan and Paradox just having just having a rivalry itself just helps players grow so much. I mean, I think you touched on it, and usually when you're at the top and you have no one else who's as close as you are to that sort of level, you kind of stagnate because it gets boring for you, like in a certain sense, I guess. Like when you're a team that keeps winning over and over and over and over again, and you have no one that matches you, it makes it it makes you stagnate a bit. But when you have someone who's always right behind you, or even in terms of skill, like you said, it's always one person wants to get the edge over the other, and because of that reason, it's always they keep improving and they keep pushing themselves to get better. So I think that's one amazing thing that we have seen just from the rivalry itself.
Sorry about that. So yeah, getting back in, right, you need competition to keep the community growing, and I feel like they were not during the time that Heshan and Mirza was playing in the same team. It was Sarakolo at the time. I don't think they improved significantly, but having that rivalry those days, it's what pushed both of them to reach new heights, and definitely two of the best players. But we have we saw today, and we've been seeing over the last year, a lot of really good players are coming out, especially these core players, mid players like we have Devastain on Victoria's Secret, we have Panda from Bedtime Sunrise. I mean, we have seen immense growth from both players over the last year or so, and they are giving a good run for the top tier players in the country. And we saw Mirzab having trouble against the Husker in that previous match in the first semi-final. I mean, yes, it is a hard lane for him, but you expect someone of Mirzab's caliber to just outshine the opponent in your mid lane, but it did not happen. So it just goes to show how, like, usually those days what happens is Mirzab picks whoever the hero he wants, goes mid lane, doesn't care about the matchup, even he just destroys. But right now it has come to a point that it cannot happen that way. So that there are players to actually match up to your skill and at least pressure you if you do have a winning matchup, and you need to be at the top of your game to close out or win your matchups in the mid lane. Mid is where it has mostly been focused on these new upcoming players.
Yeah, but I think one thing that we haven't really, like, we obviously, like, most of the time we do focus a lot on the core players because those are the those are the heroes that kind of stand out during most of the games. But then I feel like players like Seeker and then obviously Shauban, they have really shown a lot of promise, I think, and initially, like you said, the new addition to Division, GG, he used to be a position 5 player and now he's playing position 3. So he also used to be playing on that support role. So, those talents also should definitely not be ignored, because I feel like Shauban has had a huge impact on this Victoria's Secret team, just to be able to buy so much time for Kavi or Deathwish on his carry role, just to be able to get into the game, put a lot of pressure. I think his plays on Sand King and Earthshaker have been amazing. I think that's something you need to definitely point out, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, and I think one of the main reasons that Victoria's Secret has been successful in the last few tournaments is that they swap roles, and I think that initially a lot of people were skeptical about the swapping of roles that they did, but I think it has benefited them a lot. And not forgetting Torch, who is playing position 4, I think. He has been, like, he was a core player at the start, but he has, as a support position 4, he has just shown his game knowledge, because he had played that carry role, so he knows what is bad for him, what you need to do to shut down a carry, and he has been doing exactly that. And that bottom lane or the off lane for Victoria's Secret is the lane that has been winning them games continuously. And Kavi, he does not lose the lane. I have very rarely seen him lose a lane. He either breaks even or outright demolishes mid. So breaking even is totally fine, because you're doing well in 2 different lanes, which is okay. And that is where where Shauban shines through, because he wins his lane and then just creates so much of space for Deathwish to come online on that carry role. And having said that, on Death Sentence we do have Aura, who is a coach for an international team as well, so a lot of experience and drafting knowledge coming from his side as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think we've seen a lot of international experience being brought into the Sri Lankan scene. I mean, players and as well as coaches such as Ara as well as AB. They've come in and they've given shared their experiences as well as their knowledge on the game. They've given players a new way to look at the game and how to understand it, how to grow in terms of getting better as well. So I think that impact has definitely shown across in most of these teams. I think Ara has helped Victoria's Secret as well as a few of the NA teams as well. So a lot of work being put in by him to make sure that the Dota scene in Sri Lanka does improve. I mean, AB also has put in a lot of time to increase the amount of players who are taking part in tournaments, as well as helping them improve, understand the game. So having that international standard coaches also definitely really help the Sri Lankan Dota community.
Yeah, so we do have the draft on screen right now. It is going to be the Juggernaut Lich for Victoria's Secret, which is a disgusting lane. I mean, it is so strong. You take basically next to nothing damage. And I don't like the Tiny pick here, right? Because Tiny is so strong because of his early base damage and the ability to burst someone down. And with Lich and Juggernaut, like, you have Spin to deal with the avalanche toss damage, and the physical right clicks which is coming from the Tiny is just not going to be doing anything with the Frost Armor or the Frost Shield as you call it now. Not going to be doing anything, and it's just such a strong lane that pick up. And they go with the Sven as well, so this is a lot of armor and physical damage reduction that Victoria's Secret has. And Sven has been a very popular pick. I mean, I still haven't played him as a position 4, even a 3, but he seems to be one of the most popular picks right now on that position 4 role.
Yeah, I mean the damage mitigation coming out from both the heroes, the Lich as well as the Sven. I mean the Sven can be put in that position 4 role, but I feel like it's better off in the position 3 role, because once you have that tank ability, like you said, I think it comes down to having one of those heroes who can just stay in the front line and just tank up a lot of spells. Like for example, if you bait out Jakiro Ice Path, Macropire, all these spells on just one hero. I mean you can have the pipe, you can have the Crimson Guard, as well as the spell block coming out from Sven's Warcry. Then just being able to bait those things out. Even a combination coming out from Tiny won't really burst down the Sven unless you're really far behind. And that gives the ability to Juggernaut to save his spin, make a more aggressive play, and obviously on top of the Sven damage block, you can also put the Lich, the Frost Shield on him as well. So it becomes a very effective frontliner in a sense. Where we've seen, I mean, the frontlining has been very important nowadays in the Dota scene. I mean, very rarely you see these squishy lineups, because the amount of bursts that you have with most of these heroes. So it'll be very interesting to see, and they do pick up the Slardar. So I think this will probably be a position 4 position 4 Slardar. Played by Torch most probably, I think, because you said he's playing position 4.
I think so from what I know, I think it's going to be Shauban on Slardar and Torch on Sven.
Yeah,
we'll wait and see. I'm not sure, because they can swap it around.
Shauban is very good on the Slardar as well. I think his initiations have been on point. I think we saw, I believe in one of the games we saw a Slardar Lifestealer combination, and they had to catch out a really farm sniper, and his initiations were almost always on point, and they managed to always burst down one hero with the combination. So I think both of them are good on the hero, but I think Shauban prefers the hero over Lich, I believe. But I mean, it can be anything. It could be an offlane Slardar and a position for Sven as well. So that's the beauty of the way that they have draft. You don't know where the lanes are going to be, or how they're going to lane it. So we'll wait and see how everything comes around. But right now, I think Victoria's Secret would do with maybe one more ranged hero, maybe.
They do have the Invoker in the pool. Kavi is hands down his best hero, but it's extremely hard to lane with Invoker. He has a very bad laning style, and if he is going up against Satan, he is going to have an extremely hard time, because one thing is Satan is very much in form, and the fact that Invoker probably loses lane to any hero on the map right now, and you need to set up a lot of Sunstrike kills for him to keep up with the farm on the mid lane.
No, the thing about Invoker is, even though like technically, like I mean, there are, like you said, there are a lot of stronger laners than Invoker, but I think it comes down to experience and how you play the lane and what type of Invoker you want to play. Because if it's someone who is mana heavy and you go Crossfix and you drain them of that ability to use their skills, then you have an advantage there. It gives you farm. It forces the enemy to buy clarities, mangoes, and extra regen if they have to, or if you're up against someone like a TA, just knowing to use the Forge Spirit over Crossfix, just because of the fact that Forge Spirit also helps you remove that refraction. That's definitely an additional ice wall. Those things, knowing what spell to use at what time defines the Invoker player. So if you don't know how to play a certain matchup, that's when you kind of get ruined in the lane. But with the thing about Invoker is you have so much potential, because you can even, say you play the lane safe and you get your last hits and you get a decent amount of denies, because the Forge Spirit does help you get those denies, and you move into the jungle even to farm that. You can you can mitigate so much damage by just letting the Forge Spirit tank the wave and microing it. And while your team, obviously they have a Sven, they have a Slardar, they have a when Lich uses Frost Shield and Juggernaut spins, there is no way you're going to try to juke a Sunstrike, right? So then if you know what you're doing and you get the Sunstrike kills, that gives you an additional farming speed in a sense, if you look at it in a positive sense. But like I agree with what you say. I mean playing an Invoker against someone who is really well versed, like you said, I mean playing against one of the best one of the best mid laners like Satan, or we can never say it could be Mukmid as well. I mean they have so much ability to swap their roles around as well. So I think a lot of things affect, but I feel like they have better options than the Invoker right now. But I feel like we're talking about a Kavi Invoker, so it will be definitely something to see, because I've seen him go up against really good teams on his own with just that hero.
Yeah, and I don't see any of Kavi's heroes left in the pool, because even though he's a really good mid player, his hero pool has been limited over the years, and they do go with the Invoker. So it's definitely going to be a really interesting match to watch. Kavi on his Invoker is definitely going to be a treat if Satan does not completely destroy him during the laning stage.
I think it'll come down to who gets it's either going to be a regen war, or it's going to be who gets the first kill. So for example, if Satan gets a level advantage on the Invoker, he's going to dominate that lane. But if the Invoker gets, okay, it's a Timbersaw, so good luck with that. Yeah, okay, let's just forget everything I said and just say that Invoker's going to lose. Forget everything I just said.
That is going to be a very hard lane for Devastan on that Invoker. So it is actually going to be Kyle Mirana with an offlane Tiny and Believe, who is Ara, I think. Yeah, Ara is Believe. So Ara is going to be on that Tusker, and we have Beaver on the support position 5 Jakiro, and of course on Victoria's Secret, Torch on the Slider, Shaban on the Sven, Deathwish on his Juggernaut, Zack Puppy on the position 5 Lich, and of course Dorstein on the Invoker. So this is going to be a really bad lane for him, but I mean, he does come back into the game. His Invoker has been focused so much every time he gets to play him. A lot of players keep on ganking him, keeps on putting pressure, but Kavi is an Invoker player who, how far behind he is, he will come back into the game. He will find the farm that is necessary. He knows exactly how to play this hero, regardless of the matchup that he has had. And but the only question is, it's going to be Timbersaw mid. So, and it's Satan playing the Timbersaw. That's the only disadvantage that he has. But other than that, I think if he needs an equal rank player or an equally skilled player with a Timbersaw mid, I think he will still manage to find his farm and do what needs to be done. But you're going up against one of the best teams in the country, so I don't think they will allow the Invoker to find space to farm. But we'll have to wait and see. If Invoker manages to do well in this game, it will just goes to show how good the Sri Lankan Dota scene has got and how much Kavi has also improved over the years. It's definitely going to be a hard lane for him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but I think it will come down. I mean, like you said, Dota has become so different in a sense where you can't literally carry the game as a single person. You need to have that team. You need to make those rotations. Apply pressure on the map. Get those wards down. And as you can see, we see a shout out to AB coming out from Deathwish. But anyway, basically, if they do really well on the side lanes, that allows the support to maybe rotate into the mid lane and help them deal with the Timbersaw problem. All Kavi kind of needs to do right now is try to get as much farm as he can from the lane and mitigate as much damage as possible, not give those not give away too many kills. I think Timbersaw will probably have a lot of kill potential on the Invoker once he hits maybe level 6 is probably what we see.
So they are trying to contest this rune here. They do go with the Frushal as well as the Blade Fury, and they are not going to be able to get the rune, and they need to be careful here, but there is no Snowball or Ice Charge, because they did get the tag team on the Tusker to try and contest, and they will trade off runes. It was a 2 for 2. Yep.
Yeah, looks like it was a 2 for 2, so that's definitely going to be a positive for both teams, I guess, in a sense where it's. I mean, we've gotten so used to. I mean, I've gotten so used to as a just playing as a general mid player. Getting 2 runes minimum gets you that, gives you a few bonus items, like you can either finish off a Bracer or a Wraith Band, or even get extra regen as like a Salve or more Tangos if you want to. So when you don't get it, you're not used to it, so that that kind of makes things a bit awkward for you. But anyway, taking a look at the lane setup right now, so we see Sven and Slada on the top lane against Mirana and Jakiro. Arrow going to fly out, but it's not going to connect, so a lot of pressure being put already on the top lane, just because of the fact that it's 2 melees against 2 rangers, 2 range heroes, sorry about that. So it's going to be a bit interesting to see how they manage this lane on the Sven as well as the Slada.
So I think once Sven and Slada gets a few levels, they will be able to put a lot of pressure on the Jakiro, because that's the kill potential they have. They aren't really going to kill. Oh, Arrow flies out, misses completely on the Slada. Just basically applying a lot of pressure. They're not bothered about the Arrow hitting, or if it hits, yeah, you get a kill, but if it doesn't, you're still applying pressure. So he is okay with missing a couple of arrows at the start. Oh, the Jakiro might be in a little bit of trouble, but they do use both stuns together, and the arrow also misses completely. So a lot of mishaps happening on both sides, and both stuns flying out at the same time. That's not what should have happened. Juggernaut might be in a little bit of trouble here. They do use the tag team, but the avalanche misses completely. Juggernaut gets off the Blade Fury, and now the roll on to the Lich here. I'm not sure that was the play, but again, just applying pressure, and the Tiny was not in range for to be called into the Snowball. And already we see Devastan having a lot of trouble. Is already down on region. Timbersaw just applying so much of pressure, just standing on his high ground, not allowing Invoker to come forward, and just tricking him down just because of the amount of armor that he has.
Yeah, already having 10 stacks of armor. I mean, this is level 3 we're talking about, so imagine later. Oh, we actually see First Blood in the top lane.
They might be able to get another. Sven needs to be careful, but he does get the damage block off. The Warcry is out, and the Mirana might go down here as well. That's a double kill on the top lane. Shauban and Torch doing the work, and that is the lane that they are banking on. Victoria's Secret needs to win this lane, and that's exactly what they're doing. Had really good play from there. I think they got the bash stuff, and again now Invoker getting dived by the Timbersaw. This Timbersaw is not bothered at all. I mean, we knew that this was going to happen, and that Dostan is going to get pressured quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I mean, this is where things get a bit difficult, and right now, I mean, the top lane looked good for Death Sentence, but right now, I think, you know, just that double kill is going to give Victoria's Secret top lane quite a bit of confidence to just kind of, you know, be a bit more aggressive in the lane, and very clutch war cry coming out from the Sven there, just understanding that the Mirana was committed for the kill, and just, you know, that damage mitigation at level 1 being so strong. I think it's around so it's 110, so that's a lot of
so basically Mirana does no damage with
no damage, yeah, basically. So 110 means Mirana is currently right clicking for 61, and with the stout shield damage reduction, and so it's about 2-3 hits just to break the shield, and then you have to actually do the damage, and he had about 150 health, and we're talking about strength heroes, you know, and that just makes them extremely strong. And once he gets a few braces, he's going to be very difficult to deal with. So
Satan just sitting between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers here, and the Invoker is not getting EXP out of this, and he might actually want to dive this. He does not have a Timber Chain, but he is going to back off. He doesn't want.
I think he's fine with this, because if Invoker makes one mistake, he's going to get Whirling Death, and he's probably going to go down, and again already forcing him. You know, the best part about what Satana is doing right now is, do you see that there are 2 melee creeps and 1 range creep that died to tower, and Invoker is outside of that EXP range, and see, he's completely zoning him. Invoker literally cannot get to the experience that he needs, because every time he does, he loses at least half of his HP, and this is becoming a huge nightmare for the Invoker.
He's actually going to TP forward onto the mid lane, which he needed to do because he was losing so much of EXP and farm, and he misses the range creep there as well, so he's definitely not getting any farm at all. He's 9 CS to the 17 on the Timbersaw, which is absolute destruction. Meanwhile, top lane, Mirana gets bashed up by the Slider. I think this is what set up the kill previously as well. The bash hit on the 4th. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? Because you know that you're going to stun the target at that point. And like with the Sven stun as well, if you have a little bit of more attack speed and a bit of slows, you can always follow it up, because you are 2 disabled. So the Slider is going to be able to bash, and it's going to be able to bash him again just when the stun is finishing off, which is, I mean, ridiculous, the amount of lockdown that just provides.
And let's not forget the bonus damage coming out from the bash is so high. Like, I mean, it's not even, I don't even understand. And if the like Jakiro just like does not position himself well in this matchup, he's 100% going to die. So as long as you don't stack up the stuns like they did last time.
So the bottom lane, Deathwish is being pressured, but he's okay with this because they don't have kill potential on Deathwish, because they do have the Lich with the Frost Shield as well as the Blade Fury. This is why the Lich Juggernaut is such a strong combination, because even if you cannot get a kill, you're not dying in the lane, and safe lane is the lane that is hard to survive in right now in the meta. And the fact that you're not dying and you're able to CS freely is just, you're basically winning that lane hands down. And you don't want to, you know, as an opposing team, you don't want the safe lane on the other side to be winning, because they're winning your off lane as well, and they're winning the safe lane as well.
And one other important thing was the change that they made to the way Tiny's avalanche works. So those days it used to be a stun, like there should be 1 second delay, but if the Juggernaut had slow fingers, like you get stunned and then you still take the full damage from the stun toss combo. But now with the way avalanche works, it's like mini stun, right? So it's like mini stun. So you're always able to get the Blade Fury off, and that mitigates so much damage, and basically it makes Tiny's burst nothing. I mean, if you have spin, you can't really, you know, do anything to him. So
I mean, I really like the Tiny pickup from Death Sentence, just because of the fact that I don't think they could have gone with anything else. I think the Tiny Tusk was a good choice to go up against the Juggernaut Lich. They didn't have a lot of heroes that, I mean, it's so disgusting. You don't have a lot of heroes that can deal with the Lich and Juggernaut in the laning stage. So I think it was the safest choice that they had, and they went with it, and they're doing okay, because even though Deathish is getting farmed, so is the Tiny. So later on, once the Tiny gets a Blink Dagger, you know, a couple of braces, he's a very tanky hero. It does not easily die, and the Omni Slash, does not kill a tiny. So level 1 Omni Slash with Blade Fury does not kill the tiny who has 2 braces at the start. So that's ridiculous. I figured that out yesterday. It was so hard to kill a tiny with Juggernaut with Omni Slash and maxed out Blade Fury and Omni Slash does not do damage, and that's what with 2 Wraith Bands and a Thread as well. So
but even if you play a tiny in this matchup, I mean, who do you burst? The Sven is tanky, the Slaughter is tanky, they build naturally into the bracer, and like we just discussed, they can't really burst down the jug either, just because he can spin during avalanche. He can get a little bit of damage off if he uses the toss initially, but still it does like minimal damage, right? Because you don't max it, like you max out avalanche, you go like a 3-1-1-1 build, but some people, they decide to kind of skip the growth just to keep a little bit of attack speed, and then Invoker is probably burstable and the Lich is probably burstable, so that's probably as a tiny, I think you'd want to focus on those targets mainly.
Yeah, I think Lich, if he just carries the raindrops, even if he takes a lot of damage, he won't die to it, and he can always use Frost Shield and just get away from it. So the thing is, tiny was even with raindrops, he does such a lot of damage, and bottom lane we do have an engagement happening. The Juggernaut trying to go on the Tusker. Tusker gets a spin off, one more right click, but the avalanche is going to be the time. I'm sorry, Juggernaut needs to be careful, but the one charge is saving grace for him, and the Tusk is also able to get away. Tiny does not have toss. Okay, he has gone for 2 levels of avalanche as well as 1 level of tree grab. I think Juggernaut misplayed that. He could have got the kill there. He backed off before his Blade Fury finished, thinking that he won't be able to get the kill. And I mean, it was a bit of a risk anyway, because if he had not backed off and the Blade Fury did not kill him, he might have died. And on the mid lane, the Invoker is getting pressured again. He needs to be careful. There is still no Timber Chain, but with the boots, he's going to be about Devastation joking around. But there's another wedding that the Gold Snap is not going to be enough, and that is the Invoker going down in the mid lane to this Timber Saw. He is extremely strong. And on the bottom lane, the Tusk did go down to the Juggernaut, who tried to contest the wound.
No, but the Tiny actually killed the Lich beforehand. Tiny and Tusk both killed the Lich beforehand, and then the Juggernaut, I think, got the Tusk kill with Blade Fury.
So now Invoker cannot actually side this lane, because Timbersaw does have his ultimate as well, which means that Invoker just completely leaves this lane, and they don't have heroes that can pressure the Timbersaw either, because they don't have magic over time or any sort of magic damage other than the Lich right now, and Invoker early levels does not do anything. And
I mean, right now, I mean, this Timbersaw pick is just godly, because what do you do? Who do you put there? I mean, you can't put the Slaughter there, you can't put the Timbersaw there, you can't put Jug there. Like, who are going to put there today with the Timbersaw? He already taken down this team.
Trying to go on the Jakiro here, but the Tusk was there with the roll. They are going to try and go on this one, but he does have the Warcry. He's going to serve for the time being, but he will end up going down. Oh, there's another Storm. If he wants to use it, that one charge is keeping the Sven alive. One more right click. Mirana leaps in, not going to be able to turn around in time, and the Starfall is going to be there as well. A lovely Ice Path from the Jakiro stopping. Oh, Sunstrike, will he get the kill? Then Mirana almost goes down, and there's the tower hit. And the Tusk might, no, Tusk does not, and the Jakiro will be able to survive with the one charges, and the Mirana will go down to the tower. And the Sven does TP back into the lane. He is looking for the Tusk, not being able to find him for the time being, and Ara doing the right thing in denying himself. His level 4 is going to be up in 10 seconds. That is the right play to make. He bought all the items.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, a level 7 Timbersaw is bullying a level 4 Invoker.
This is absolutely so bad. They are trying to put a little bit of pressure, but Timbersaw getting bashed. They are going to go in the stop, but he has 20 armor stock. What are you going to do?
I don't think this is go. Someone's going to end up dying.
Slaughter might actually die here. He has no, the core staff is going to keep him alive. This is absolutely disgusting on the mid lane.
He does not care.
He absolutely does not care. Taking a lot of damage, but look at the 20 armor stacks. Where is the damage coming from? He's still alive, and there is no one coming in from the Radiant side to try and bring him down, and he's almost back up to full HP as well. 40 regen.
Yeah, I mean, this is just this is disgusting, to be honest. I think this Timbersaw pick is so strong, they don't have anything to deal with it. So, I mean, it's going to be difficult. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, anything can happen, obviously. I think the Invoker, if he does manage to get a decent bit of farm, I think he and maybe Spirit Vessel is going to be extremely important to how they deal with this Timbersaw.
So they are trying to go on the Tusk here. Tusk gets Sinister Gaze, but he is going to be okay. The Avalanche is going to be there. Jug does have the spin with the one charges. He's going to use it, and the Tusk is going to get the snowball off. And now the Juggernaut
is going to be able to bring down the
Juggernaut here. The toss is going to be there. Is it going to be enough? Still serving, and yes, it is going to be enough. And they are not even going to get a return kill. The Jakiro rotating in. Double kill for GG on that Tiny on the bottom lane. Good rotation there. Jakiro was mid for a time, but he rotated back bottom, realizing that the Timbersaw actually does not need any help at all.
Meanwhile, Gesso got chased down by the Timbersaw, and
I saw that.
Feels bad, man.
And they lost the courier in the process, though. They have Death Sentence did lose the courier. I'm not sure why the courier died, but they have lost the courier as well. But I mean, the good thing for that, Victoria's Secret is that the lead is not significant. It is just the Timbersaw who is extremely farmed. Everyone else on the side of Death Sentence is not doing like extremely well. If you take a look at net worth, they do have the top 3 net worth, but the Juggernaut is farming, the Sven is farming, so is the Slada. It's just the Invoker who is not even a hero right now. And Slada getting chased down by the Timbersaw. He does have he does manage to land it, and a pause immediately from the Slada. So the Chakram was there. This might actually be a kill. The stun is on CD for another 4 seconds if the Timbersaw wants to dive this, because he just used it. He knows that this is on CD. He can dive it if he wants to. Might be another kill. Just Timbersaw so farmed. He is close. There's Arcane Boot, Soul Ring, Brazers, and another 1k at the 8-minute mark. Just insane amount of farm that he has.
Yeah, I mean, he's just literally just been camping behind every single tower that he can find after getting like insane amounts of armor stacks. But right now he doesn't have any creeps hitting him, so he might lose a little bit of it. But seems like he's gonna go. Slada one hit, no, and he's gonna have to run away.
And meanwhile on the bottom lane, the Lich is getting gone on the Juggernaut also. Needs to be careful. The snowball is going to be there. Heads up play from this Tusker actually, because he keeps on holding on to
snowball.
Nice
ice shards.
Lovely ice shot, but can they bring him down? The Sunstruck is going to be there. He get the tiny kill, but they are going to be able to pressure the Juggernaut. The one slash is going to be there, as well as the Omni slash. The Tusk will go down. That's a double kill for Deathwish. He got that level 6 with the kill there onto the Tiny, and a good Sunstrike. So this is going to be helping Invoker a bit. He is trying to catch up. There's 3 nulls picked up, but he's going to get dove on by the Timbersaw yet again, and he does not have a level of Vex. The arrow flies up, the hits a creep only. Invoker needs to be careful. Manages to cold snap. Oh, this might be a return kill on to the Nirvana. What a play from the Invoker while running back, getting that cold snap Sunstrike off, and the Lich coming in to clean up. But this is the Timbersaw going to be able to run down the Lich as well, the Chakram of CD, in 1 second, and he's not going to be able to joke it around. Double kill for Satan on a dominating streak on this Timbersaw.
Meanwhile, bot lane.
Oh, bot lane. Is it the Juggernaut? He does have the spin. He's safe. I mean, this Juggernaut is so hard to bring down. And
if it was the old Avalanche, he'd be dead there.
Yeah. But I think Tusker on the side of Death Sentence has been doing a really good job of, he has been holding on to his skill points, doing exactly what needs to be done, waiting until the Juggernaut spins to use that snowball. So he makes sure that he's extremely low, and then he uses a snowball, so buying enough and more time for the Tiny to get those right clicks off onto the Juggernaut.
Meanwhile, top lane,
they are going to go on the Slada. Slada managed to get the crush off, and he's going to be able to sprint away. Ice shot is not on point there. Misses completely, and he's able to walk away. So ping is going on the top lane. And
but Death Sentence is taking so much map control by just being able to take out all these towers. See, the Timbersaw and Tusk are just staying together because even if you try to kill the Tusk here, the Timbersaw is going to kill everyone who comes. And meanwhile, the rest of the 3 heroes have been we saw them on the minimap grouping up and taking down the T1 tower.
Meanwhile, there is a roll on to the Lich. Lich needs to be careful. He does have the frost shield. The Tusk with the water sponge manages to block off the Lich as well. He's trying to juke around the trees. Is he going to be able to get away? There is no other spells. Sven coming in as well. Tusk completely jukes the Sven, and meanwhile Timbersaw is under tier 3s. While the tier 2 is there, they do manage to get the stun off. Tusk is there with the snowball. They are trying to go on the Lich. Lich will get immediately taken out of the fight. Slada needs to be careful, taking so much of damage from him. Invoker wants to join the fight as well. Everyone is coming. The entire gang is here to try and take the Timbersaw. Timbersaw gets stun blocked. The Sunstrike is going to be there. He's going to be able to Timber chain out, and he's still alive. There is no damage, but the Timbersaw managed to take him out, and the Tusk will go down here as well. But meanwhile, while all this is happening, oh my god, bot lane is completely demolished. They are up on the tier 3s. This Timbersaw is buying so much of space for his team, and they are not able to deal with this because they need to bring in all 5 heroes, The stun is going to be there. They might actually get the timing here. The Synstigate is going to hold him in place as well. Arrow flies and misses completely. The Moonlight is going to be there, but the Scent Ward is going to be there. They will get the kill onto the Tiny as well. This is much needed kill for Victoria's Secret. And just overstaying their welcome. I think the 3 heroes on the bottom lane for Death Sentence should have backed off a little bit earlier. They waited way too long, thinking that they can press the advantage. But Slada being able to close the gap, and even the Sven with that extra movement speed from the Warcry being able to close the gap from the top lane immediately. Oh, they might actually get the Mirana here, bash, and with the amp he managed to get 1 leap off, and he does not have another leap, and that's a Mirana going down as well. So this is where Death Sentence messes up, right? They win their laning stage with just individual skills and just drafting, I think, and then they fall off because they don't play as a team. If you see, while Satan is buying them so much of space, which is the role for him right now because he's the most farmed on Death Sentence and he is basically unkillable, and the fact that the bottom 3 heroes did not back off at the right time, not communicating enough and not realizing that they should back him. They are chasing after the Timbersaw. Timbersaw is going to get Omni Slash and bash. That is so unfortunate, but I mean there's not enough damage. They are doing the invoking as well, and the Sunstrike is going to be there, and they will bring down the Timbersaw. So a lot of heroes coming in, and this is where Death Sentence is messing up. The lead has dropped to 1k. They are going to be able to chase out the Tusk as well. Water Sponge stopping the crush for the time being. The Ice Path blocking a lovely Ice Path there from Jakiru. They are being played by Beaver, covering a retreat of the Tusk, and they will stop chasing. So Invoker catching up little by little. He's almost as farmed as the Slada. He's around 1k behind, which we thought will never happen. We thought he'll be at the bottom of the netto. I think at one point he was almost even netto with the Jakiru on the other side. So this is where the Invoker starts shining. He's getting kills. He's there for the engagements. He's getting the Sunstrike assist as well. He's 3 and 3, so which is not too bad, even though he's really low on farm.
Meanwhile, mid lane looks like they want to make a go onto the Sven. The Tusk is going to get stunned up by the Slada.
And the Sunstrike is going to be there as well. Devastating and dominating streak now, and this is where he is starting to shine. He's going to be able to get his Midas up, and he's going to be able to control the map. And Noobka is a player on Invoker who controls the map very well. He knows when to push, where to push. It's just that he had a very bad laning stage. So Death Sentence is going to have a lot of trouble with this, the way that they have been playing in the last minute or two.
And once again, looks like the Timbersaw is getting aggressive in the top lane. No, the Juggernaut actually taking so much damage.
And the Healing Ward is going to be there, which is level 3. Slada chasing after the Timbersaw, gets a bash off. The Jakiru is there to help him out. And meanwhile, Mirana very happy to just keep farming. He is 3rd highest in net worth. Juggernaut actually keeping up with the Timbersaw. They are chasing after the Jakiru. No Omni Slash for the timing. Moonlight Shadow going to be used. There is no dust for the time being. They want to turn around. Timbersaw gets locked in. The Sunstrike as well. The Timbersaw gets snowballed in. What a save from Ara there, and they will bring down the Timbersaw at the end. The Invoker managing goes to out. They are taking a very good fight here. They do manage to take out the Tusk, and they are going after the Tiny as well. Tiny will get since he gets up stun locked as well, and that is the Tiny going down. What a fight for Victoria's Secret there. I mean, messing up well. I think Tusk made a really good save, but they were not able to capitalize, and I don't think this is not the play that Death Sentence should be making. And Mirana is never in the fight. They are taking a 5-on-5 fight, and Mirana is not really pressuring any tower because he had already taken the tier 2 tower bottom, and he's just farming. And Mirana is not a hero that does well in the mid game. I mean, ultra late game when he does have a lot of farm on the Mirana, then yes, then Mirana is effective. But during the mid game where they are not going to be having enough farm, Juggernaut is going to be definitely stronger. Invoker is definitely going to be stronger than the Mirana who is farmed. So this definitely is not going according to plan for Death Sentence right now.
Yeah, I mean, just making really. I mean, it looks like the only reason it looks like a big mistake is because of the high skill level. I mean, usually if it was any other game, and if they die, it's not really a big deal. But given the skill levels of both these players, like we said, we talked about Kave's Invoker and just being able to have that comeback mechanic. He was on a mega kill streak. He managed to get. See, this is why I said, like, even though you do lose the lane, just having that ability to Sunstrike and get kills helps you get back in the game as Invoker. And once he gets that Aghanim Scepter, he's going to be a threat, and this Timbersaw is going to have to be really, really careful. I mean, I think the first thing they should have done is maybe let Mirana independently manage one lane, just because of the fact that she's so she's very what do you call it, very very good at escaping. So she's very elusive. That's the word I was looking for. So they could just maybe group behind the Timbersaw when he was basically destroying the whole VS team on his own, and grouped up with him, and maybe then applied pressure with maybe even the Jakiro and the Tusk just sitting behind him, and just liquid fire the towers. You take it down faster. But then what they tried was they were trying to give Mirana independent space. The Timbersaw was off in another lane, and the supports were the Tusk was with the Timber, and then the Jakiro and the Jakiro was just everywhere else, which is not making sense. But right now I feel like it's pretty even. And I feel like if the Invoker does manage to get what he needs to, it's going to be very difficult for the Timbersaw itself just to kind of do what he's been doing all this time. He's going to have to build into more defensive items, try to deal with all this control. Especially I think the Slada amp also is it's contributing a decent amount, not a lot, but it's definitely helping, because imagine if you didn't have the minus armor from the amp, and that would make it even longer for you to burst down the Timbersaw. And they just know that they need to bring numbers to get the Timbersaw down, and that's all they're doing, because they have the information knowing that
we do have an engagement. The Sven is going to get rolled down by the Tusk, but there is no follow-up. And having said that, I think Deathish is doing an extremely good job, because they were planning on pushing, and he has been cutting the creeper that entire time and farming in the meantime, because he has been taking the small camp as well as the lane the entire time that that Sentence was trying to push. So heads up play from him, keeping his team in the game and making sure that they don't lose unnecessary towers that they don't need to lose. And they don't really yeah, they are very tanky on the side, but where is the damage? Oh, Tusk might get gone on here. The amp is there, but the TP is coming out from the Mirana. There is no snowball for the Tusk, so he's not going to be able to catch on. So the physical damage is actually not there for
Sunstrike connects, but does not manage to bring the Tusk down. That's really close. But also one thing I think which we should have mentioned is the fact that it was I believe that was Slada's blink reveal. I think it was the blink reveal.
Probably, right? Because he blinked in on he
blinked in on the Tusk, so I think that was a blink reveal. I don't think he used it anywhere else unless we missed it, but either way it's good. I mean it's a decent timing given how the game was going.
Oh, Invoker got the Sunstrike.
He got the second Sunstrike. Oh my god.
Oh,
did he scan? No, he didn't scan. He scanned. He scanned. I think he scanned. I'm not sure actually. No, I don't think so. Or did he? Either way he did, that's all that matters.
That was not expected. I didn't think he'll try and go for it. So meanwhile Timbersaw is trying to push out this tier 2 tower top as well. They do cliff the wave as well. Oh, they do jump on the Slada. I mean the Timbersaw gets meteorite as well. They are trying to do a lot of damage. Are they going to be able to do it? Oh my god, the Sinister Gears, the Timber Chain out, but he's still surviving, so tanky. They are not bringing down. The Omni Slash is going to be there, but is it going to be enough? They might be able to bring down the Sven. Sven still survive. Mirana does go down. Timbersaw is
still alive.
He's still alive, man. He's not dying here. And Juggernaut is trying to chase after him, but I mean, he's doing mediocre damage to him right now. And they do bring the Jakiro down on the meantime, so they do get 3 kills for it. Oh, Slada needs to be careful. He is still alive, but the Chakram from the Timbersaw is going to be able to clean it up. So it's going to be for 2 for 3 trade, which is good for Victoria's Secret for sure, because Invoker is farming in the meantime. That Sentence loses the Mirana. Juggernaut did not die in the fight, so this is definitely a really good fight for Victoria's Secret. And we have seen that they have taken the net worth lead, even though it's not significant. It's the first time in the game that they have net worth lead, even if it's just 500 gold.
I feel like there was a missed opportunity on the side of Death Sentence. I feel like those deaths that they gave away in the top lane when the Mirana was away from the team has really affected it and given Victoria's Secret the chance to come back. And pretty soon I believe Mr. Invoker should have that very much required Aghanim Scepter, which obviously is the pickup for any Invoker player, and that is going to increase his arsenal and increase the damage of his Sunstrike, which means Timbersaw did manage to live with that. He managed to live with the Bloodstone heal, because now Bloodstone doesn't make you suicide, it gives you like a burst heal, so that's basically why he survived.
I mean, as Slada goes in onto the Tusk, the stun is going to be there, but there is no follow-up. Invoker wants to go in, the Deafening Blast, the Cyclone with the EMP, and the Sunstrike is not going to be there on point. I don't think he was ready for it. because he was backing off when the Slaughter jumped him. But if they had coordinated it, I think Invoker would have been able to get that kill.
No, I think he just kind of misclicked the spell that he wanted, because usually you usually have your orbs precasted. So when you use your tornado, you can just press your the R button. I believe is what most people use.
Yeah.
Sorry, I use very weird keybind, so I believe it's the R button to use invoke while you have it set for meteor, and then once you use the tornado, you instantly invoke the meteor, right? And then that gives your cooldowns a lot more. It gives you more time for the cooldowns to come down, so you can actually use an additional spell as opposite to if you use tornado and then decide to use meteor separately.
So I think, yeah, definitely. But I think what happened to him was he was not ready for it, because he definitely did not expect the Slaughter to jump in while he was backing off. But if he was ready for it, probably he would have been able to pull it off. And he was actually going for the Sunstrike instead of the Meteor right there. And Timbersaw has been racking up a bit of bloodstones. He's up to 16. Oh, I know how he survived there. He used
the bloodstone. That's what I said. The bloodstone here, because now it doesn't make you suicide. It gives you a burst heal.
Burst heal, like mana to basically HP. They want to try and go on the Timbersaw. Are they trying? Oh, they decide to back off. They were not too sure.
I think it's just because of the fact that Timbersaw was the only one kind of showing in the map. Meanwhile, in the jungle,
the Invoker needs to be careful, but the stun is going to be there onto the Timbersaw. They do get stun locked. The Invoker needs to be careful. He is trying to get away. The Lich with the ultimate is going to be bouncing around. Juggernaut on the backline does get the Omni Slash out and will bring down the Mirana, and they will get the Jakiro here as well. So another
the Sunstrike.
And not stunned, dodged by the Tiny, but they are going to be able to turn this around. And that's 3 heroes down, 4 heroes going down. What a turnaround from Victorious Secret. This is looking really, really bad for Death Sentence. Messy fights all around, and the Timbersaw does not seem as strong as he used to be anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Aghanim's pick up, just being able to access all those spells, and you can even burn his mana with that EMP. There's so much control with the Slada as well as the Swen. The fight kind of broke into two, where you had Timbersaw like frontlining separate against 3 different heroes and getting controlled, while the rest of the team was dealing with Juggernaut Omni Slashing and a Lich ultimate as well that really bounced really well for them. And right now, see, they're already threatening high ground. Like, even if they did lose so much of the towers in that early game, Victoria's Secret has shown a lot of composure, and they're doing really, really well in controlling the game.
I think it's about not panicking. I think when the Invoker was having such a bad lane, they knew that he will find his farm, as they were able to rotate a lot with the Slada and turn these things around, and they're basically playing a better team game than DS right now. And something that I was talking about with some of the players before the match started was that DS will have a really good chance if Satan gets a farming hero, where he just outfarms everyone across the board. But he is on a Timbersaw, so yeah, he wins his lane, but his effectiveness across the game drops when the game progresses, because he's not on one of those carry heroes just basically demolishing everyone.
No, I think like you said, right? So like those days, maybe with how Timbersaw used to be, you could literally just 1 versus 9 if you wanted to, given how the hero was. But with the introduction of Spirit Vessel and all these ways to stop you from regenerating over time, now the hero is like he only during the early stage is very difficult to deal with, as we saw against the Invoker. But like you said, one thing I just want to bring to light, like you said, I mean, end of the day, it's not a 1 versus 9 game. It's a 5 versus 5 game where you need your team to be with you. And I feel like I think they felt like they had it in the bag with the way the Timber had his start. But now I think just because of those ability where Victoria's Secret got those pickoffs is definitely where the game kind of turned, and that is what we're seeing right now. The effects of that is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean it goes back to the fact that Death Sentence is a team with really good individual skills but does not work well as a team. And I think it is just right now it is showing, because Victoria's Secret, they've been practicing as a team. They might not be at the same MMR or the same skill level as Death Sentence, some of the players on Death Sentence, but they are just showing that they are a better composed team in this game. And right now the meta is as such: if you are a better team, if you play a better team game, even really strong players or strong teams will come down if you just play a better team game than the other side, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I
think this Slada amp is actually doing quite a bit for them against the Timbersaw. I mean,
no, what I feel like is, other than the Timbersaw, like the Timbersaw had some really good impact during the game, right? Yeah. But we haven't seen that much impact coming out from anyone else, because like I said, they don't have the ability to burst anyone. Like, who does Mirana burst in this lineup? Like, she always tries to burst down the Sven and then ends up getting controlled and goes down. The Tiny can't find anyone to kill.
They are going to engage. There is engagement here. The Jakiro almost goes down. They do turn around with the Moonlights. The Slaughter might be in a little bit of trouble, but he manages to get off his one charges as well as the Frost Shield, keeping him alive for the time being. The Juggernaut, the Mirana actually getting controlled by the Invoker, is going to be able to take him out, but there is no vision. Oh, he actually he shows himself, and the Sunstrike is going to get the kill onto the Timbersaw as well. The Jakiro manages to get away, but the Invoker is going to be on the chest. The Deafening Blast is not going to be there, and the Jakiro is going to get away scot-free. Mokshit just showed himself. I mean, he basically killed himself. I don't think he realized that he was out of vision.
It's not 40 minutes yet.
Yeah, man.
It's not 40 minutes yet. It looks like Christmas came early. But anyway, either way, really good fights coming out from Victoria's Secret there once again. I think it was a 3-4-1 exchange. Slaughter bought back, so did the Tusk. And right now, you can see them once again just threatening high ground. Does Descendants have the tools to kind of hold them off is the question.
I really don't think so. At this point, they don't really have ways of taking the fight. I feel like, because Timbersaw is not doing as much, and the Juggernaut is just going to be able to sit on this high ground and take towers, but they are going to back off. They don't want to be too aggressive. They know that they have the late game. They know they have the advantage as well, so they are not going to just overstay their welcome like DS did in that bottom late. Small mistakes, I think, costed DS that early advantage, and they don't really have that good of a late game. DS barely has any late game. I mean, it's just the Mirana who is going to be able to, and Tiny is just, like you said, is negligible, right, because he's not able to burst down anyone at all. And we just saw the Slaughter actually surviving for such a long time there with the Frost Shield, the one charges. I mean,
and let's not forget the Sven damage block as well with Warcry. I mean, he's so tanky, and I mean, being able to use a position 4 initiator like that as a frontliner as well is just amazing. And I think that's something unique that Sven brings into the brings onto the table, and I think that's something that not many people, I mean, we've seen it recently in the tournaments and stuff, but you know, just seeing the effects of it with your own eyes definitely makes a huge difference, and it shows you just how knowledgeable the Victoria's Secret team is, and you know, knowing what heroes to pick and what heroes to draft and how to play them as a unit. I feel like as a unit, Victoria's Secret is doing really, really well right now, and they know exactly what they need to do, whether Kavi has a really good lane or a bad lane. And I think, you know, hats off to him. I mean, definitely hats off to the team as well, just to be able to bring him back into the game, and him being a player of, you know, this caliber on his signature hero, he's definitely not disappointing at all.
I mean, there is a reason that no one gives Kavi the Invoker. Even though you shut him down, he tends to come back, and he's right now the second highest in net worth.
Yeah, like he was like 2,000, 3,000 net worth behind the Slaughter at one point, and now he's second in net worth. So I think that itself speaks for itself. So
yeah, he's definitely been able to come back into the game, and like I said, the team did a really good job of you know, creating space. And again, it goes back to Shauban and the Omni. That was so unfortunate, the Lotus Orb Omni Slash. So they are going to back off since they do not have the Omni Slash and they do not get anything done with it.
Do they catch anyone with the Ice Path? No, they do not.
And I don't think you Omni Slash the...
Oh, they're going in. They managed to get the stun off onto the Lich here.
Managed to get the bounty rune. He's trying to run away. The toss is going to be there. The Jakiro moving forward. He's faking the Ice Path so many times.
What?
But they still will bring down the Lich. I mean, it's okay. I think Victoria's Secret made the best out of a bad situation because they did waste Omni Slash. And with that, they are looking to go for Roshan here. Will they be able to take it down though, because Lich does have buyback if he wants to come back into the fight, and they are backing off. They realize that they don't have the physical damage to take this hero down, not like they do. They have a medal.
Oh, looks like they make a go onto the Timbersaw here. Nice blink crash coming out from the Slaughter. Ice Path comes in but does not connect because obviously
I don't think this is the play. The Lich does buyback. The Invoker gets getting control. He cyclones himself up for the timing, but he's stuck in the middle of everyone. Invoker goes down. This might be really bad. Slaughter goes down here as well. Timbersaw still surviving. The Chain Frost does manage to end up bringing down, but the buyback Sunstrike from the Invoker getting another kill. They are turning this fight around, and they will get all 5 heroes here. That's one more right click. Triple kill for Zack Puppy with that buyback. What a turnaround, and what a buyback Sunstrike, just finishing it off. And now they do want to go for the Rosh. They want that Rosh onto the Invoker, who did buyback into the game.
Hashtag worth?
Definitely worth, man. I mean, Sunstrike, who did the... Yeah, he brought down the Invoker there with the Sunstrike.
The Invoker brought down the Invoker with the Sunstrike. Okay.
My bad.
All good, but anyway, it's a definitely good, well-timed buyback as well, just because of the fact that you can get Aegis on the Invoker and bring him. You saw how much they had to commit to bring him down once, or bring him down twice is definitely going to be even more difficult. But it looked good. Like, to be honest, the fight looked good for Death Sentence, but then the Lich buyback and that Chain Frost was just, something to see. Did a decent amount of damage in the fight itself, and ended up with Zac Puppy getting a triple kill, and Victoria's Secret coming out on top, getting the Roshan as well, getting it on the Invoker. So that is definitely going to give him, like, they can do a lot with this. They can buy time to farm if they want, or they can go aggressive. They have done decent amount of damage to both the T3 towers in mid and bot. So they do have a few options, or they can just wait out and just get a few more items, like you said, because they know that they have a really good late game with the Sven, with the Sada, with the Jug and the Invoker, obviously, compared to what they have on the side of Death Sentence.
Yeah, I mean, they are definitely quite happy to be farming. Even after getting Aegis, they don't want to unnecessarily die. They know they have the late game. They are just using this Aegis to make sure that DS is not going to be putting any pressure, any sort of pressure on them. And I mean, I think VS has this game in the bag. I don't see a way that Death Sentence can come back into the game unless VS decides to throw, which might happen at the 40-minute mark.
We'll have to wait and see, I think. I mean, it happens. It is a Sri Lankan rule, so we'll have to wait and see. So 30, the bounty rune is still there. Interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like wondering why isn't taken lonely bounty rune waiting. Oh, then the jump on the Jakiro gets caught out. The bash is going to be there as well, and it is going to be an easy peasy picking. And Mirana, sinister gaze. Are they going to be able to bring him down though? He does have another leap charge. Joking around, Deathish in the meantime does manage to clean up the Jakiro. Where is the Sunstrike?
They're committing for this, 2 seconds on the blink for Sven. He goes in, here comes the stun, God Strength as well to ensure the kill.
Ease peas.
Going in hard.
So we might see a lot of action here. I just heard some of the players shouting, spoiler alert guys, there is action happening.
Spoiler alert, action is happening. So anyway, it looks like Timbersaw is trying his best to push out the lanes and try to force some sort of reaction from Victoria's Secret, but right now it doesn't seem to be working. The Tiny is in the top lane. Makes things quite difficult for them. Right now Timbersaw still just chilling around this mid lane. Invoker is right behind him, going to come here to push out the mid lane. He sees the Timbersaw here.
Right now he's not bothered about the Timbersaw anymore. I mean, he's very firm.
I mean, we saw the Timbersaw not being bothered by the Invoker, and now we see
Tusk getting down on the Sunstrike is going to be there. It's not going to be on point, though they do manage to bring down the Tusk. 42 seconds on the deck, and he does not have buyback to come back into the fight as well. So this is going to be a high ground push because Invoker has BOT to join the team as well. They have a creep wave coming in, and Mirana does respawn. There is no touch for 25 seconds.
Timbersaw is trying his best to frontline here, but
yeah, but I mean, how are they going to kill anyone right now? The arrow flies out, and the crush is going to be there. The Mirana needs to be careful. The meteorite is going to be there, and the Timbersaw will get controlled here, but they're still not bringing him down. Timberchain misses completely, and that is going to be a dead Timbersaw, and he does not have buyback. And Mirana buys back. Oh, Sunstrike! The Sunstrike actually killed the Mirana.
Wow.
I did not catch that.
Even I did not see that. I
was like, wondering because Mirana survived through that combo.
Wait, but didn't he just... was it Cataclysm?
No,
it was Sunstrike. The Sunstrike, yeah.
Should be. Was it? I don't think Mirana dies to Cataclysm because you can see it, right? Can easily walk away from that.
Yeah. But I saw him use a Sunstrike on the Timbersaw, but interesting, okay.
Not sure how he died, but it was a buyback on the Mirana, and they do back off. They're actually going to go on the Mirana again. He does get stunned up, and they want to kill the again as well. That's a dieback on the Mirana. I think this is all over for Death Sentence. They are going to go on to the Jakiro as well. GG gets called from Death Sentence, and that is Victoria's Secret moving on to the grand finals to face off against PNX in
and which in that whole time Invoker had no kills. He had died 3 times. He literally got chased all over the map by the Timbersaw, and then he gets a kill on the Tusk, he gets a kill on the Timber, he goes bot lane, he gets a kill on the Jakiro, and then again he gets another kill on the Timbersaw in the top lane, and gets another Sunstrike kill on the Mirana later. And then now he has 5 kills, he has a Midas, and he's halfway to Aghanims, and now the game has changed. The man who was suffering, like we said, and I think one thing, props to Victoria's Secret, because they played that really well. I think that was probably the only way they could have played it, and look, just to wait for an opportunity for Death Sentence to give them a chance to kill someone. right? And when they presented that opportunity, even though they did manage to Satan did manage to create space for his team to go bot and just threaten the T3 tower for a bit, but after that the synergy was gone. I mean, it was just Timbersaw along with the task, and they had so much control to control both the task as well as the Timbersaw, and the Invoker just got out of control, and we saw him make the plays, and it was just amazing. And then from there, Deathwish obviously did a really really good job of making sure he gets decent. He actually got really really good farm in his game, and he played the lane really well. They did not give unnecessary kills. They knew what their limits were, and the top lane also. I think Stada and Sven, Shaban and Torch played really well. But I guess I think MVP for this game, I think I would give it to the Stada. I feel like the Stada played out of his mind, and he was probably the main source of control that really allowed them to get to that situation to win the game in the end.
Yeah, definitely creating a lot of space, and I think it goes back to talking about how Death Sentence needed to give Heshan a farming hero. You cannot put him in a Timbersaw because you need to play that team game to win with something like that. And knowing that they have that issue of not synergizing well as a team or not communicating well as a team, knowing that reason, they shouldn't have gone for a draft like that. I feel like even though they win the draft, I think you need to definitely put Heshan on a much stronger hero than Timbersaw. Yeah, you win the lane, but what else are you going to do? So I think game would have been completely different if Heshan had a farming hero for sure. Even if he did not destroy the Invoker as much, he would have been more effective in the game than the Timbersaw, I think.
Just having another aspect of maybe control or physical damage, I guess.
Anyhow, guys, we will be right back with the third place match. It is going to be Bedtime Samurais taking on Death Sentence from Division Esports. So that is going to be a BO1 as well. It's going to be definitely an interesting matchup between the two teams. And I think Bedtime Samurais showed that they have a few tricks up their sleeves against Indomitors as well. So we can definitely expect a very exciting game in that third place match as well. And afterwards, of course, the grand finals between Victoria's Secret and Indomitors, fighting for that first place cash prize as well as having a chance to represent Sri Lanka at the main event in Thailand for the Acer Predator League 2019. So do not go anywhere. We will be right back.
I did.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the third place match here at the Acer Premier League 2019 Sri Lankan qualifiers game between Division Death Sentence and NA Bedtime Samurais. Joining me once again on the cast will be Night Blade, or also known as Abdul. Abdul, how are you doing?
I'm good.
So we did have some exciting games, and so far now we are coming into the third place game. I mean, we still have the grand finals to be had right after this. What are your expectations for this game?
To be honest, I think these teams are gonna have. It's gonna be a decent game. Right? I think both teams have their own sort of gimmicks.
What sort of gimmicks?
Like hardcore and gimmick. So I don't see it being banned right now. So that might be a thing. See, it's not been banned. Arcorden could be picked up by a division, I mean, Bedtime Samurai does have their their OD, their Tinker, as well as Division also has their own Tinker. So there are quite a few gimmick picks that they can pick, and it could be super interesting if we see them go up against each other.
Yeah, that'll be actually interesting. I think the matchup to watch, given that Bedtime Samurai's strongest player is Panda, so I think Panda against Satan is going to be a very interesting match. But once again, even though you say mid lane, it's always going to come down to the matchup end of the day. Even if it's an unfavorable matchup, coming back into the game is based on that player's skill, like we saw in the previous game where Victoria's Secret, the Invoker, managed to come back really, really well into the game after getting dumpstered in the mid lane by Timbersaw. So
I think that was just the decision-making process and how to move forward with that game was very well done by Victoria's Secret. Just waiting, making sure the other lanes won, even though Invoker's lane lost. Not trying to distribute the supports everywhere to try and win all the lanes. Making sure that they win their own lane, and just leaving Invoker for a while, and then making space with what they did in the other lanes to make space for the Invoker to get ahead later.
And it's always good when you have that, Sunstrike to get those additional kills and help you, especially when you're behind. Getting a few kills on the Timbersaw gave him like about 1,000 gold, which helped him finish his Midas as well as get halfway through to his Ags. That really boosted him. I think that sequence, he needed those kills for sure.
He needed the Sunstrike kills with the XP.
It's easy to say it, right? But then you need to be skilled enough to land the Sunstrikes, to be able to coordinate with your teams and be like, hey dude, can you Sunstrike top or Sunstrike bot, And I think he got a really amazing blind Sunstrike off on the Tusk as well in base, which is
he made a lot of plays there, and I think everybody was very surprised and very they really loved the way Kavi played that game.
Yeah, for sure, I think. And one thing I was really impressed of was I remember Timbersaw followed him from mid lane all the way to the top lane, and then the Mirana really committed hard to try and get the kill on the Invoker, and he got this really cool, false spirit core snap into Sunstrike. It was really well predicted. He managed to get that kill before he went down. So most Invokers won't even do that. So that's definitely something.
I mean, you have to give credit to Torch when he played the Slada.
No, I already named him the MVP for that game. So I think he played the Slada really amazing. And
if he didn't get those those initiations off correctly, then I don't think Kavi would have been able to come back so.
No, and it's like with the combinations that they had. I mean, they had the Swen the damage block as well as the Frost Shield coming out from the Lich as well, so it enabled the Sada to be that frontliner, even though they had the Swen as well. Like it, you have an initiator who's also extremely tanky, can bait out a lot of spells. I think he took the arrows and a lot of damage coming out from most of the players coming out from Death Sentence, and still managed to survive and reinitiate once again. Just be able to keep that aggression going. Then talking about the laning stage also, I feel like the Juggernaut was a really smart pick, because there was really nothing that they could do about it, because like I said, the change in the Avalanche as well as Tusk, the tag team doesn't really help you against the Jug in a sense, because it doesn't go through magic immunity. It does not go through magic immunity.
The slow doesn't, but the damage does.
The damage does? Yeah. Okay. But it said the description said it doesn't pierce.
It's physical, right?
Oh, it's physical, right.
Anyway, so
let's get into the draft here. So looking at the side of Division Death Sentence, we have Brewmaster being banned, Lich being banned, and the Grimstroke being banned, along with Swen and Sand King. On the side of Bedtime Samurais, we have Axe being banned, we have Lone Druid being banned, Tusk, Naga, and Terrorblade. So looks like both teams do know the strengths and weaknesses of each team, but you can't really ban out every single hero. So there are quite a few options here left for both the teams. The Tinker has not been banned yet, so that is a viable option. If
I think that's a very nice thing in this matchup where both teams want to pick up the Tinker because they both like it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Satan is amazing on Tinker, but even Panda is just as good because both these players have played that hero more and enough times to know exactly what the limits and strengths of that hero is. And it's just an annoying hero in general. I mean, there's so much lane pressure coming out from the Tinker, as well as mobility and so much burst damage as well.
Yeah, if you don't have the right heroes to catch that hero, it's very difficult to play the game. And we see a PA being picked up by Bedtime Samurais, and I think this PA pick is a little bit better since there's a Slar in the game as well. I really like that combination. And we see a Magnus PA.
Of course, it's very Magnus PA. So I was just about to mention it that Magnus hasn't been banned. So it's I think, you know, I don't know whether you consider this a cheese strat, but at the end of the day it comes down to how you play it, because you can still obviously come out on top against the PA Mag. They do have a Dazzle, which definitely helps them quite often, and they have picked up one of my best heroes, I would say. I think on the Kunkka, I really love that hero. It's really strong. And now we see a Pugna. So Pugna is definitely going to be key against the PA.
No,
if he does not get
I don't like the Pugna actually because of the Oracle.
Yeah, that's true. You can dispel the
decrep, and you can always, you know, finish off the kill.
But it looks like they're going for a quick game in a sense with the Beastmaster, Pugna.
Yeah, they have a push lineup for sure. But the thing is, with the Empower, PA can defend lanes with just Vlad's Desolator early in the game.
It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see whether he actually opts to go for that Battle Fury or not.
No, I don't think he will. It's not needed. You can just get the Vlads and the Desolator, and you'll be fine. But what they do need is some sort of lane push, because if they need something to kill the creeps, you know. The Oracle is kind of okay, but he doesn't want to use his first skill to use it on the creep wave. You know, he can't. They only have it. Okay, Sashika just disappointed me, but it's fine.
So I think the Slada is definitely being positioned for. I think Sahan plays a really good, pretty good Slada. Oracle obviously going to be played by Seeker, so I think it's going to be Magnus being played by Pawan. So I think they need to pick Mr. Mid laner here.
Mid-laner.
So the Tinker is still open.
Tinker is still open, and it's Division's pick right now. But they have picked up the Pugna, so I don't.
What do you think about the Drow ban though?
I like the Drow ban. I think it's very good against the PA. I mean, I like PA against Drow, to be honest, but not against the push lineup. I like Drow. Like if you're a PA and you're playing against the push lineup, you usually, if you jump the Drow, you're just gonna get roared and you're gonna die because ship's gonna tank them up, and then you're not gonna be able to kill the Drow very easily.
No, one thing I always wanted to know, like just given the meta right now, I mean, usually we always pick Drow and try to synergize with our picks. You know, try to get 5 range heroes, maybe 1 melee with 4 range. You know, just to give that, so you get that extra benefit of Drow Ranger. But now, is it okay to pick him in this scenario or what?
I think Draw's good. It's still such a strong hero, especially if you have a decent laning stage. You just need that laning stage to go well, and after that you do so much damage that you can't, especially in the mid game, you start doing so much damage that if you can't deal with the Drow mid game, you just lose the game.
So what do you think about Draw's change to her ultimate, where she like has that, you know, like a random proc?
There we go.
Okay, so here comes the Arc Warden boys.
Kind of predicted. We knew that.
Yeah, I mean, it was available, and you know, it was definitely there. I mean, the Naga and the Terrorblade were picked. So in this scenario, do you think you just ban the Arc Warden and give them the draw, or what?
I think the PA is fine against Arc Warden. I don't think it's a bad hero against Arc Warden. I think this is I mean, since it's the comfort pick, it's also fine for Division.
Yeah, that's
PA
true.
is not a direct counter or anything, but he still can play against the Arc Warden pretty well.
Yeah, and with Empower, I mean, you do a decent amount of damage as well. So I think laning stage will tell us everything that we need to know. But what do you think? Pick here for.
They have 2 minutes to think about this, and
so there is. Well, who does he have in the pool? So he has his OD.
Yeah, he does.
Yes, he has his OD. He has his Tinker.
He doesn't want to pick OD here.
Yeah, I doubt it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen Arc Wardens kind of dumps the ODs.
Not only that, there's the fact that if he ever tries to Astral save someone, Kunkka can just use the combo on him. You know,
that's true.
You can't really save anyone with Kunkka.
Yeah, I mean, especially. But I think one thing you just need to know is that, once you know the durations, then landing that combination, it makes it so much easy for Kunkka.
At this level, all the players should
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, literally 4
Yeah.
seconds on Astral, so you just wait,
Yeah.
and then you should know that there's a small delay on Torrent as well,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
timing it shouldn't be an
those are
issue.
the things that you just take for granted. Like, okay, if he picks the OD, then he will land the combo with Kunkka. So you probably shouldn't pick OD right now. But I mean, it's not the worst pick, but it's not the best pick because of the Pugna ward as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so you don't
the
wanna-
Pugna ward is really,
and the fact
really,
that Arc Ward and Magnetic Field is just going to destroy the OD. It's not good against OD because OD doesn't want to come up to your face. He wants to hit you from as far away as possible. So
I mean, they
Magnetic
can
Field
go
pretty
with
good.
something aggressive also if they want. They do have the Oracle, but they're probably trying to save the PA as much
I
as
actually
possible.
like going something aggressive. Even
Yeah.
getting a DK here is not bad. I feel because you can just
Yeah, just
make
having
sure-
a front line, I guess.
front
Yeah.
line, yeah.
But
Because
okay,
if
so
you-
other than DK, who would you have?
other than DK, I mean, let's see. The Tinker is not the best here. It's okay. I mean, the thing is, you have to rely on the Slardar to initiate when you get a Tinker.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but you don't want the Magnus to jump in first. You want to keep that for like a counter play.
You can always just start the fight with Slard. I think you and me have done this before as well.
But
I mean,
then
you can.
the fact that the Slardar won't get that much farm early, especially if they're pushing so hard with Beastmaster Pugna.
So here
and
comes the
TA.
pick and it's T. I think I don't mind
I
it.
like this.
I also
play.
don't mind
But
it.
the only problem with this is that TA and PA needs to farm for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. They do
So-
need to farm quite a bit. But
Yeah.
if TA has an okay mid lane,
Exactly.
and if she or like because once you get a few levels on TA, it's very easy to push in the wave, right? Because
Yeah.
you can literally push it in like 3 hits,
Yeah.
4 hits. Use that bonus damage from refraction, push it in, and then go maybe stack a camp, come back to the lane, repeat it, and keep stacking, and then you can it's very easy to farm stacks with the PA
but
side blades
it's,
as well.
it's a bit hard to play against Arcorden since he
No,
does
that's
take
true,
damage.
that's true,
So I do not like the TA that much. It's okay, but he has to play super passive and he can die. Like Mukshit is a person who knows in the ins and outs of this hero.
Mm.
So he's probably played against a bunch of PAs before, but I don't think Panda's played against a bunch of Arcordens.
Oh, that's true. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very. I think along with Invoker, Amiibo, those kind of heroes, even Arcwarden, has a sense of like difficulty. He has a level of difficulty
Yeah.
that you need to master to kind of be
It's
good
a very
at it.
difficult hero. yeah.
Because Meepo, you need to be able to micro each Meepo, but with an Awkwarden, it's like you're controlling 2 heroes at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's definitely it's not a skill that you can acquire overnight. It's something
Yeah.
that you work really hard for and keep playing the hero over and over again. And even professionals like RTZ, even them, they keep playing the hero to keep in touch, because if you don't play the hero for a long time, it becomes very difficult to come back to it later.
Yeah, and the fact that if TA does not get those ancient stacks, because I think she is going to lose the lane. So if she does not get her ancient stacks, I think this is going to be a very difficult game for the TA to play in, because if
Yeah,
she
like
doesn't
one-
get a decent start in this game, I don't think she can do too much, because there's so much lockdown for her, and there's Decrep, and there's Shallow Grave, and there's Torrent, and there's Roar,
Yeah,
and there's
like
Boars.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think one thing I realized even playing the hero is that you need to hit that early game timing in the sense where you need to have that desolator by 14 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and then try to when you do get that, you can really, it's really easy to farm your blink, and from there you just need to kill and keep trying to get as much farm, as much pressure, and try to get as much kills as possible, because she is I don't know, in my opinion, it's just an opinion, but I feel like she's good when she snowballs, but when she slows down, and if the other team is as farmed as a TA, I don't feel like she's as effective.
She's like a Quap. You need to snowball
Yeah.
with her, and you need to keep getting more. Quap has a little more utility with the level 25, but I don't think TA has any utility after that.
Yeah.
Feels like she just drops off way too hard late into the game if the enemy has the same net worth as her.
So anyway, running through some quick introductions to the teams here on the side of Bedtime Samurais. We have Seeker playing the Oracle. We have Vegito playing his PA Phantom Assassin. The mid lane is going to be played by Panda. He's going to play that Templar Assassin. So we actually have a position. No, we have Magnus being played by Sahan on IU.
Oh, so it's
And
going to be a position 4.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be a position 4, and looks like the Aquarium is actually in the safe lane, and it's going to be an off-lane Slardar. So once again, another Wraith Spark. A lot of damage being taken. Nice torrent there, but the Bounty Drone was picked up by the Magnus. Slardar in a little bit of trouble, taking a little bit of damage. Another Spark Wraith comes out. Will it connect? There is a question. Yes, it does. The Kunkka. Nice. Trying to block with the Tango. Going to get connecting with one more Spark Wraith. Will it be enough to bring it down? Does have a crush available. Skewer not going to connect, and one more. Oh, what is Interact doing? He's going to. Oh no! first plot going the way of the Arc Warden. They're just not having a path to juke there. So feels bad for him right there. Just checking, I missed who got the rune. So looks like Dazzle did manage to get 2, and 2 were taken by the Bedtime Samurais as well. So it's going to be 2 for 2 once again.
Let me see Magnus getting Skewer first. I do not like this.
No, I think he just used it to try and save the... I think he got it just to try and save the Slardar, but ended up not working.
In the end, it doesn't really work out, right? He needs the Empower to empower the Slardar and himself to be able to trade with the Kunkka.
And just one tip of friendly advice: don't have skewer on quick cast. It really bugs out the animation for some reason. And sometimes you have the Magnus just skewer in a place because you click outside the range.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, so it's really weird. So
yeah, and we have this awful off lane here for the PA. Just the Beastmaster Dazzle, so strong. You have the Boar and you have the Poison Touch. Poison Touch can be removed by the Oracle, so it's not the hardest thing to deal with, but it is still pretty annoying.
I think you just try to get as much as you can out of this lane. Try to play safe. You don't need to be aggressive. You do have the defensive tools. You have a decent amount of sustain with the Oracle. Not a lot, but a decent amount, I guess.
Yeah. So one thing I think Bedtime Samurais have to look out for is the split push, because that's going to come out this game by the Beastmaster. Oh, and mid lane we see Sathan going...
Yeah, he just took a little bit of side blade damage, but should have the regen to deal with it. But Panda seems to be pretty comfortable in this lane. I think just missing the occasional CS with that decrep, and with refraction you don't take as much harass as you would against Pugna normally.
Yeah, I think
so. Meanwhile in the bot lane we do see a 2-man torrent coming out from the Kunkka, getting a little bit aggressive here. Empower being used on the Slardar, but missing the crush there.
Yeah, so as soon as they miss the crush, they can't really do anything there. Meanwhile, on the top lane, we see the Dazzle just harassing this PA down so much. Maybe
they're completely ignoring the creep wave right now because they know it's going to push in. So they're just staying ahead of it. But Vegito is still doing a good job of getting all the CS that he can.
Yeah, I think as long as he doesn't keep... I think he might die once or twice, to be honest, in this lane. But if he doesn't die multiple times and if he keeps getting last hits, I think he's going to be fine in this lane.
Yeah, that's for sure. So... once again in the mid lane we see just both them kind of evenly harassed, I guess. I think the TA does have a bit more sustain, but does not have that much mana to work with, which is a problem because once you don't have that ability to use that refraction, it kind of hinders the damage ability that you do have. And as you can see, Decrepify and deny the range.
Meanwhile on the bot lane we see X
so X Torrent coming out with the Spark Red Knight combination coming here from both the players. Oh, that's a very long range crush, but he still has that flux on him, so looks like he might actually go down. He's taking a little bit of damage. One more Spark Red gonna connect onto the creep. We're gonna use a stab as well, and if one more right click, going to try and juke this Spark Red. One more hit, will it be enough? No, it will not. He's gonna survive with 23 HP, and meanwhile the Magnus is gonna stand there and try to do as much damage as he can. I mean, I feel like the Magnus should just try to be hitting these players. I mean, you have Empower. Like, I mean, that's you start right clicking. Like if they're going to focus the Slardar so much, just start right clicking one of them. So you can see how much damage the Arc Warden has taken by just chasing. So you can imagine how much damage you can do, because you should not underestimate the amount of damage that you get with Empower. So that's
and just the fact that you can trade so well with Empower. I mean, the fact that trading is so important right now. If you trade efficiently in that lane and Slardar gets back with low HP, it's still fine. You can just maybe get a kill on the Arc Warden in the next two wave, or you can force him not to farm.
I feel like see, most of these lanes you want to have that position.
Top lane, we might see Dazzle going down here.
Dazzle getting pretty low, and they actually managed to bring down the Dazzle here, so that's different. But they had two bows here. Oracle getting quite low and now starting to trade hits with the Beastmaster is the PA as well. Bows actually do quite a bit of work. Might try to get the last hit on that bow, but he's going to time out and he's not going to get that. But really positive showing. He managed to get the Dazzle kill on the top lane is definitely positive for Bedtime Samurais, which means the PA is definitely having a really decent time right now. I mean 17 CS compared to the Arc Warden, who's currently sitting at the top of the CS list actually with 23. So I think it'll be very important. We'll have to wait and see how things go. But right now we see the Kunkka making a move onto the Slardar once again. Spark Red being used, stacked up actually on near the rune, but looks like Kunkka might be able to go. Nice cure onto 2 here. Is he going to tank all these spark rates over the timeout? No, nice torrent coming out from Kunkka. One more hit brings him down. Shockwave not going to be enough. Kunkka actually going to be able to get the second rune as well. Oh no, disaster. And here comes the Flux onto the Magnus here. Does he have mana for another spark rate? No, he does not. A bit ambitious, you trying to tank the Flux, especially after activating sprint as well. Not that it does anything, I think. I'm not sure whether it amplifies magic damage or not. I cannot remember.
And we see Sathan just taking hits from the side blade here. He is dropping so low.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you have a DD or not, because he's technically the TA does quite well. I mean, we thought it would be the Aquaden against the TA, but now since they put the Pugna against the TA instead, seems to be a much better matchup for Mr. TA.
Yeah, the TA is having a really good time, which is what she needs, especially in this sort of game where you know they have a Pugna and a Beastmaster and they're looking to push. You have to be the person that's going to stop that and make some space for this PA. Even though she does have an Empower, she still kind of needs some space to get her items.
Yeah, I mean, the bot lane though isn't going as well as it should. I think as the Magnus, I think we should just man up and start tanking a lot of this damage for Slada.
Yeah, I think
he's playing very passive. He should be trying to take as much damage as he can from the Aquaden and the Kunkka while managing to still trade. Ensuring that the Slada has a good time, but right now it seems like it's the opposite, where the Slada is tanking everything for the Magnus.
It feels like they're scared of the Arc Warden, so they shouldn't be scared of Arc Warden, especially at early levels. You really don't need to be scared of him. I think he got he got his Spark Wraith at level 1, right?
Yeah, he got Spark Wraith level 1.
Yeah, so then as soon as you know he has Spark Wraith level 1, you can just be in his face the entire time. That he's not going to do anything. You just stay with the creep wave and you'll be fine.
I mean, as right now you can see, with all those skills, Arc Warden is currently level 5 and the Slada is only level 3, just hit level 4.
Yeah.
So he's struggling quite a bit. Meanwhile, we do see pings in the top lane, but nothing really manifesting out of it, and in the mid lane is just farm fest, where the Pugna and the TA are farming, but the TA does have a significant amount of CS.
The Beastmaster might fall.
So top lane looks like they actually try to make a go onto this. This is why I said you don't use quick cast on Magnus. Anyway, trying to make committance onto the Beastmaster. Will the Oracle have enough damage to nuke him down? Needs one more hit. Did have that Fortune's End, but does not use it, and now Dazzle going to work here. Does not have the Poison Touch debuff on the Oracle here. Needs to start running away, and he's going to make it, and that's a rotation coming in from the Magnus and not really being able to get anything from it, but at least the PA will have that Empower, and he's going to be able to farm up these creeps pretty well.
No, the Oracle didn't try to use Fortune's End. He tried to use Purifying Flames. So that's why it didn't reach him. Fortune's End had a slightly bigger range, and he could have reached him with that, but he opted to try and use Purifying Flames, which wouldn't have killed him.
It looks like something might be happening in the bot lane. So right now Kunkka managing to catch the Slada. Here comes the Spark Wraith and Torrent combination once again with the Flux. I think this should be 100% dead Slada. One more Spark Wraith and that should be goodbye Slada. Yes, and another kill going the way of the Arc Warden, who has a really good start to the game.
Yeah, Arc Warden having a good start. Ooh, and we see a skewer miss coming out from the Beastmaster. I mean, the Magnus not getting that skewer off onto the Beastmaster. Very close. I don't think he could see him. I think Beastmaster was hiding in the trees, so he couldn't really see him.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well keep the Magnus up here. I mean, try to give Slada as many levels as you can. But right now, the Slada can't even lane in this bot lane because of the way they played the lane. So, and the thing is, Slada is not even the best hero to jungle with. I mean, he's going to have a really hard time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, if you kept the Magnus as the offlane hero and kept the Slada as a position forward, it might have been a little bit better, since the Magnus can retreat to the jungle and farm, whereas the Slada can actually make something happen in the lanes. Like, they're missing so many skewers, and, if you don't hit the skewers as a position for Magnus, I don't think you do too much. Like, I understand that he's there mostly for the Empower, but you can't really get kills unless you hit those skewers, I'm guessing.
No, I mean, that's one thing I feel like people don't understand about how you play the hero. Like, he's not just an Empower. You can actually play the hero pretty well because he's still pretty tanky. He has a decent amount of nuke ability as well. It comes down to how you want to build him, I guess. I mean, I prefer always maxing out Shockwave. I understand that, you want the Empower to help your carry and all, but another skewer going to be missed onto the Dazzle. You're trying to get him under tower, but we might actually make a go. Fortune's End comes out on him with the Purifying Flames, going to disable the Beastmaster here, but the bows are really controlling him. One bow does manage to go down, and now the Magnus is in a lot of trouble. He might go down here. That bow is still right-clicking him. The bow is going to finish him off. Dazzle does manage to be taken down by Seeker here, but here comes the Pugna with that the Saki, and will he be able to finish off the Oracle is the question. Oh, nice damage block there, but it's the right click is going to be enough to bring him down.
Yeah, good rotation coming from Satan, not getting too much from the mid lane, so he just opts to go and get a kill or two on the top lane.
So 10-minute bounty runes have spawned. Looks like they do manage to get a few there. So looks like Vegito and the Slada managed to pick up one as well.
We see the Pugna trying to find the PA here. They're trying to chase her into the high ground, but they opt not to. They go back to the lane, opting not to go to into their shrine, which probably would have been a bad play.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, right now things don't look too great. I mean, it is a 3k lead on the side of Death Sentence here. The Arc Warden is definitely doing really well.
Yeah.
You know, already, as you can see, already has his Midas, and looks like they're going to get the Slada once again. Spark Wraith and also Tempest Double being used, and that should be pressure on the tower. I believe they do have a cart, yes, so it should be tower pressure here coming on the bot lane.
As well as the top lane, the T2 has almost fallen on the top lane.
Actually, yeah, the T2 is also taking a lot of damage. Obviously, you know, as people say, treat the cart as your girlfriend. Raw coming out onto the Magnus here. Will he be? Oh, he just what? Wow, his refraction ran out.
Good. Yeah, that was really good from the
That
Oracle.
was really unfortunate. The refraction running out at that timing, and you know the amount of burst coming out from the Pugna brought them both down almost instantaneously with the shallow wave heal. I think is it called shallow wave? Yeah, it is shadow wave. Sorry.
And also the Fortune's End not letting the PA die there as well. Very nice.
Yeah, really heads up play, but I mean, end of the day,
and they managed
you
to
lost the
steal the
TA.
stack. That's unfortunate for the TA. She really needed that stack to kind of boost her farm a little bit.
So looks like TA is going to TP in, trying to make a go onto Satan here. The Beastmaster is around, but being controlled by the bow at the moment, and looks like they're not going to be able to make anything of it. Magnus does have the RP, going to use it onto the Beastmaster here. Nice Torrent X combination with the boat. Here it comes. Oracle going to use that for False Promise there. Manage to keep this. Keep the Magnus alive for a bit, and meanwhile they do manage to burst down the Beastmaster with the TA and the rest of the team rotating in. Now Kunkka with the double damage rune. Will he? It looks like they're trying to make a go onto the Kunkka as well. Does have another Psionic Trap available if he wants to make a go. Torrent being fake casted, life drain onto the Sara here. Torrent does not connect, and ooh, a lot of damage coming out from the TA actually onto the Kunkka, but I'm pretty sure it is just the boat buff kind of running off, and most of its HP just returning to its normal state.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean the fact that she does do a lot of damage as well.
I mean, end of the day, they didn't lose anything. They did manage to get the Beastmaster,
they lost the T2
okay.
top as well. So
no, they lost the T2 top in the previous fight itself.
yeah,
so.
I mean, the engagement mid wasn't really an engagement. It was whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but at least they managed to get something out of using the RP in a sense. But Slada finally, after that T1 tower goes down, managing to find some sort of space and farm.
Yeah, he really needs this game. He has to do so much in this game. It feels like he needs to do a lot in this game for them to be able to defend high ground and whatnot. But he just doesn't have the farm right now.
I mean, it's going to be really difficult for him to get any sort of farm, to be honest. And right now, I feel like Division has really hit their stride. Nice throw coming out onto the TA here. Once again, Skill coming in with the board and that combination. Nice, what is it called? Fate's Edict coming out onto the TA, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to die, tick off from that poison touch, and that's going to be a kill going the way of the Dazzle. One more hit, one more. Oh, Torrent! Oh, just misses, and looks like the starter is going to manage to get out safely, and that is going to be the TA going down once again, just getting rolled and just being a bit too aggressive. I think just a bit too confident in his survivability there and getting punished for it, and that's going to be another T2 tower going down on the side of Bedtime Samurais.
Yeah, and meanwhile PA has been farming all this time, but I don't think PA can do too much if she's the only one that's farmed in this game, like unless they land an amazing RP or something, because they're already pushing high ground at 14 minutes. So
yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about, right? So if you had at least a max level shockwave, we can do something to mitigate the push coming out. But right now, with all the units that they do have, I mean, they have the Hawk, the bows, they have the magnetic field from the Arc Warden. As you can see, the Arc Warden itself is just running in, doing so much damage onto these players. Flux as well as Spark Wraiths coming out, a lot of control. You can see the torrents being thrown out.
RP.
RP, only connects onto the Beastmaster once again. X into board coming in. Fate CDG is going to come to mitigate most of the damage. Going to use the ulti as well. Nice crush onto the Beastmaster. The Beastmaster is going to go down. No grave being used. I think it might have been used earlier. And all three heroes going to get nuked down by the Archwarden's Maelstrom proc right there, as well as the Pugna Blast. So that's a lot of damage. Buyback coming in from the Magnus here. Looks like they might lose a set of racks right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
seems like they can't really do anything because of how the laning stage went. Feels like they're lacking so much farm and levels that they can't really contest death sentence.
They do manage to use the glyph here, and Kunkka is standing in front trying to absorb as much damage as he possibly can. And you know, I mean, it just comes down to little things. They do manage to get the mid and the ranged barracks early at 15 minutes in before the PA Magnus can even become, you know, PA Magnus.
See a TA TPing to the shrine here.
Oh, TA TPing to the shrine. He's trying to make a go onto, I believe it was the Dazzle. Dazzle actually TPing out and now trying to make a go onto the Kunkka. Really nice board play coming out from his stuns. Both of them. What a play, and TP is out.
Yeah.
So anyway, really good disengage coming out from both the players there. You know, Kunkka managing to control the TA to help the Dazzle get out, and then using that boat. Because if he hadn't hit both those heroes there with that boat, he definitely wouldn't have gotten out, because I think Slada had a bash as well as a crush available. So that's going to be another missed opportunity. Now Slada actually going to run into the Pugna as well as the Beastmaster Decrepify into life drain. Here comes the Sidering Crush. No Pugna Blast being used, but the bow is controlling him. They have vision with the bow, and this should be a very, very dead Slada. One more right click, and yes, the Beastmaster is going to get that kill, so props to him.
Yeah, that was
little bit of a
that was kind of weird. Like,
weird
Slada should really not have been in the Radiant jungle there. He does not have any vision of them, and he shouldn't be wandering around into enemy territory when he's so far behind in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it feels as if the game has been going on for quite a while, but it's only 70 minutes into the game. I mean, I have like unlike that last fight, I really haven't seen the Archwarden since then, and I don't know what he has. I mean, we saw like a really early Midas on him, so he's probably farmed up a storm, and as you can see, they're already starting to head off into the high ground here. So unless the Magnus gets a really, really good RP, it's going to be very difficult for him to make any sort of play. The PA does not have the items that he needs, neither does the TA at the moment. So right now they're going to start sieging with the Pugna, who has picked up Aether Lens and has a Dagon as well, so a lot of bursts coming out from him. Here comes the Archwarden with the Tempest double, has Midas and a full Mjolnir already ready. Going to start hitting away on this tower, uses the second magnetic field, and here they're trying to make a go onto the starter. Starter taking so much damage. Here comes the burst. Fate Edict is there to mitigate a lot of the damage, but the Archwarden Illusion is going to stand there, start right clicking a little bit, and now the actual Archwarden is moving as well. Nice combination with the X and Torrent onto the Slada here. Slada will definitely not survive this. Here comes the Magnus, 3-man RP, 2-man RP. Where is the PA? The PA does not, I mean, the PA does not even have empower on her. The Magnus is going to get bursted down. I do not think this is the way they wanted the fight to go, and I think they're probably going to go down. The TA taking so much damage. The Oracle Ultimate is not going to be able to be enough to save him, and I think that might be game, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is, and GG is called by Bedtime Samurais, and that is going to be death sentence, taking away the third place prize here at the Acer 2019.
Good showing, really good, clean game.
Yeah, very clean game. I think very fast. They hit their timings in this one.
Hit their timings, knew what to do with all their heroes. Even though Satan didn't do the best mid, he still knew what to do with his hero, and they executed their draft very well.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, there wasn't really much that they could have done. I think most of the damage had to be mitigated through the laning stage.
Yeah, and they had to play their lanes better on the side of Bedtime
Samurais. And the fact that I feel like it would have been better if they had the Magnus on the position 3 core role and maybe the Starter on position 4, because the Starter was taking so much, you know, so much damage from the Sparklets.
To farm, like he doesn't have a way to farm, you know, so yeah.
No, see, the other thing is like, okay, position for Magnus perfectly fine, but as a Magnus player, I mean, it comes down to preference and how the game is going, right? So if your lanes are going really well, it doesn't matter if you have max empower and only one level of skill with one level of shockwave. But in a lane where, you know, when a game where your only wave clear is an Oracle and Magnus, you want to have that maxed out shockwave, right? Because you can mitigate so much damage to your tower from that shockwave. So I think, you know, just small mistakes costing them, and maybe a little bit of inexperience, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, just they did not have enough practice on the hero. This is what it looked
Yeah,
like.
they didn't know what to do against the Outboard.
So I think they just went with the strat because it's strong on paper,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
has been it's a very highly contested picks in the higher MMR brackets as well. But anyway, really well played from Descendants there. Almost flawless game on their part. Doing really well, and the Arc Warden was off to a really good start. So nothing really much you can really say other than just it's about just putting the time to get better, and just putting a little bit more practice and learning how to deal with certain lanes.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with the grand finals in a short while.